Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review, Season 3, Episode 10 of Daredevil, the episode called Karen. And this was an episode of Daredevil. I would say this was a really good fight, sandwiched by a lot of unnecessary stuff.
Now, sandwiched. The fight was just right at the fucking
right at the end, or Jimmy.
The whole first 45 minutes was, oh my god, who cares?
This is where I would disagree.
Karen did kill her brother. Okay, great.
This is where I would disagree with you to a certain extent, Joe. I think it becomes, if we go back to what we were talking about in our last podcast, that if you do less of this stuff, it's more. I don't think we needed a whole 2/3 of the episode about Karen. If they had started the Karen stuff relatively late into that process, where they just kind of show highlights, lowlights of what happened with the brother.
Why do we even need to know? Why do we even need to know that? Why is that even? We already have
because
2 seasons of Karen. Right. We already have 2 seasons of character. We already have her character set. They even mentioned at the beginning of the season she didn't kill her brother. Okay, great. Now she did kill her brother. Whatever. Like it's stuff we didn't need. It's a plot twist that's unnecessary. Okay, why didn't the father want her to show up? Who gives a fucking shit?
Because
come on, it wasn't worth 3/4 of an episode.
The dad didn't want her to stay because he didn't want her to have to go to Oz because he spent so much time there.
Yeah, no, I meant when she called her like 2 episodes ago. She was like,
okay, right.
Because I come home and he was like, no.
And I love that in fact is Tobias Beecher, which was the best part of this episode for me, is the fact that her dad is Tobias from Oz, also the guy in Wayne's World that is passed out with the or one of the not the guy that's
one of the guy technicians,
one of the technician guides from
the cameraman or something.
Cameraman from Wayne's World. Agreed, Joe. Had 2 seasons, should have added it earlier. And I think Broke hit on it right there. It's not so much that I don't like this stuff that we found out, or I think it's unnecessary to learning about the character. I disagree with you there, Joe. I feel like the way it was shelled out was ridiculous. It's not an episode of Lost.
It's pandering. It
felt like an episode of Lost to me. Like, what did
Kate care even more about Karen for some reason, or make it?
No, it was the "What did Kate do" episode. They've been hinting at this for a long time. What is Karen's sordid history in her family life? And they finally gave it to us, Joe, and they slapped us across the face in episode 10. 45 minutes of the 50-minute episode or 55-minute episode was all a Karen stuff. And I didn't hate it as much as you did, but I felt like it was way too much of it. If they had a B storyline mixed with it, of some sort that can kind of cut it, I think it might have been better. It was just too much of it all encompassing. And I like how when they brought it back to the now time, they said, now I would have rather seen more time at the church. That was significantly more interesting in having it all maybe even connected with her talking to the priest or something. So we had a couple of Fred Savage moments with her and the priest.
It was all just very uninteresting to me until the fight. That's what I wanted from the end of last episode, and they made me wait another 45 fucking minutes for it. Nah, fuck that.
Right. And the fight was great. The fight topped things off well. I like seeing Matt getting his shit handed to him again, but I can't disagree too much with you, Joe. I found myself in the first half of this episode being very distracted, and the best part of coming up with the first part of this episode was being able to have some time to make this when I'm putting in the live chat right now. And if the
good thing too is about Matt. You gotta remember, Matt. This is all
was a good fight.
3 or 4 days. Right. So Matt getting his ass handed to himself is after he was out there, beating ass in the streets for a few days, getting his ass handed to him while he's never fucking had a moment to heal. Right. This is all like within a couple of days since he left the fucking prison and was almost drowned.
Yeah. And I mean, Matt is just, sorry, I'm trying to copy paste something. It's not working for me. Whatever. Fuck copy and pasting. But ultimately, like I said, this episode was not one of my favorite of the season. If you're a Karen fan and you really cared about what her storyline is and her past motivations, you can, but it's not about I just find her one of the less interesting characters on Daredevil that we didn't need at this point in time in the story this much of this. It needed to be dealt out over the course of 3 seasons of Karen instead of just it smelled to me of that kid that has the test the next day and hasn't studied for it and needs to cram all a whole semester's worth of study into a one evening. And it seemed like they needed to get a few seasons worth of arc of Karen done in one fell swoop. And unlike the Matt situation, which I just want to counterbalance it for in the last episode, it was too much, too indulgent, and not as important to the storyline of the major storyline of the season. And it made it, the best thing I can say about it is I thought it was all acted really well. I thought in the scenes when the intensity happened, like at the end when we found out how it all came together, I thought that was kind of not funny, but sick in a surreal way that she saved her brother, shot her boyfriend, and all in all, it ended up that she killed him in a car accident. It was
because she was drunk and high.
I felt bad for her. It gave me more sympathy for her as a character and what she must wait. And then her father kicking her the fuck out of there and the weight, like when her father showed up in the scene and she's like, oh shit, my father, I didn't even think about this. Again, I can kind of put myself in that position. And I think, but again, Joe, I'd love to be able to come out here and argue with you about it. But the show, we blame other shows when they do this too. The show fucked itself here by giving us too much of it. If it was just enough, I would say it was just enough. It catered to the character. We got XYZ else in this episode. We didn't need a Karen indulgent Lost episode. And again, I'll say it 5 more times. This felt like a Lost episode to me. The past of what Karen did, and then the end conclusion of what happens in the real time is just a 5-minute time period. And I know Joe thinks the Lost episode is code for sucks, but I just think it's a device that was used in this episode and felt like that kind of thing. I don't know what.
And it sucked.
I need to watch Punisher to cleanse myself, says Broke.
I was really disappointed with this episode. As far as I'm concerned, the recap should read like this: Karen's an addict. Karen's blowing her a dude for drugs and escaping her family, and brother tries to help her. She kills brother. There you go. Done. Dad disowns daughter. Oh yeah, mom died of cancer. Done. Now, then there's a nice fight. And that's about it. This episode was very boring. It was very just, you texted me. We don't do this ever like during shows. We try to keep all comments to ourselves. Phil texted me, fucking fast forward. Ha ha ha. Just and I was like, okay, I'm going to ignore that text. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh my fucking God, this flashback hasn't ended yet. This is like 20 minutes. And then like another 20 minutes goes by. I was down to fast. I should have fast forwarded it. We could have had this recap done 30 minutes ago. And
I do have to add that I do appreciate that as the character growth situation, Karich, in the sense that
there was no character growth, though. There was no character growth.
You didn't let me finish. That eventually she gets her shit together.
There's no character growth, and that doesn't help any character growth, because what we saw her behaving like and acting like in this is very much the same person we've seen behaving and acting, minus the drugs and booze.
No, it's
maybe sex, right? Like her decisions, her rationale, the puffy red eyes, the always on the verge of tears, and something's always.
So, are you saying if they didn't tell you she was on drugs, you would think it was just the same Karen?
Yes. There's no Karen. So this was to show us that there hasn't been any real depth of character growth, so to speak, in my mind, but I could be wrong.
No, and I guess growth isn't necessarily the best word. I think it's
character development, I guess.
I feel like it's important to her because she's a main character in the show. But again, I'll say it that I think it was too much of it. I want to argue with you, Joe, about this because I liked a lot of what we got with Karen in this episode. I'm not just bullshitting. I've enjoyed her this stretch of episodes. I feel like I enjoyed stuff with her brother, Directive.
I just can't stand that pink eye makeup anymore. I just can't fucking stand it. The absolute lack of any puffiness, but like her eyes are always fucking pink and red, and she's always like on the verge of
on the verge of tears. Broke
or
says
actually crying, and it's I don't know. It's
Broke says the words that Joe loves to hear. He says,
just not character compelling for me.
No, and fair enough. The Karen isn't super compelling to everyone that Joe. Karen, sorry, I was getting the video up. Karen isn't super compelling to me too either, Joe, or me as well. I think that for me, I just feel like she's been better this season, and the way they're using her for me is better this season. And I think this episode had some good in there. It was just too much of it.
Let me ask you this: do you think that all of her scenes involving the Fisk conspiracy or previous stuff, okay, could have been fulfilled by Foggy Nelson, the plucky go-get-em detective attorney?
I think it could have been
into shit. Yes, it could have. Karen is a completely useless character. Serves for no plot drive, no motivation. Everything could have been served by Foggy. I guess for that matter, vice versa. But
right. I know I could see both characters. What my thing is with this is maybe this should have been a combination of and I don't know what's to come next, but maybe a combo Foggy Karen episode. And in that 45 minutes we get.
Oh God, that would be so fucking boring, dude.
But if they're gonna do it, get it all out of the way at once. You know, we talk about this a lot, Joe. If you got to work, I'd rather work 12 hours in one day than 3 hours over the course of 4. Right? Did I do my math right?
I can't wait for Fisk to end up owning Foggy and his, fiance girlfriend person.
Oh, that's happening
on that shit too. Because if he continues to run for DA and becomes DA, it's do what I want or your whole family goes to jail, including you for trying to cover it up.
Thank you, K. Rich. Have a good day, my friend. And okay, so let's get into this episode quickly before Joe has a conniption fit, and we'll get through it. So we get college Karen or young Karen all drugged up and cray-cray, selling, using, drinking, hooking up. Dude comes in to get the student discount, gives her dealer $60. He gets his ass kicked.
We're actually going through the fucking flashback.
Not every point for point. So so this first 2/3 of the episode deals with Karen's backstory in Vermont after her mother dies of cancer. Karen and her brother Kevin work for the family diner, Penny's Place, in a dying Vermont town. Karen is shacked up the local drug dealer, Todd, who's both using her and selling her to at local college campuses. Kevin knows that Karen has a chance to get out of town, so he enrolls Karen in Georgetown, where she's already been accepted and deferred. Karen and her father want Karen away from Todd. Kevin, for Karen's sake, and her father, he burns down his trailer to try to get him away. But that just turns into a big fucking situation. After the falling out, Karen goes to get seriously messed up. They return to the trailer, and Todd shared to find it in flames. Kevin torched it. Todd beats Kevin with a tire iron. Who I guess Kevin is pretty tough. He's walking away after getting hit like 7 times with the tire iron. I know I would die. I think I'd die if I got hit twice with a tire iron. I'm just saying. I guess they make tougher people on television.
A lot of people do die when they get hit by a tire iron.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
especially about the head.
I don't think everyone on this series is Matt. Karen shoots Todd in the arm, but doesn't shoot him and drives away. The two argue, and Karen, not paying attention because she's all fucked up, gets into a car accident and is killed. And the sheriff says that he'll report it that Kevin was driving alone because Karen was fucked up, and he doesn't want her to have to go to Oz because her father's Tobias Beecher, and he knows how horrible Oz is. And that's basically it. Okay, I succinctly described that. If you watch the episode, it wasn't doled out that way. It was doled out with a big preamble to all of that. With let's
a frat party setting up.
Life. They could have summed it up a lot quicker. Started the episode off with a little bit of a montage kind of situation and led us into the point where right at the fire, done it a little bit more flashbacky. There's ways you could do this.
There's no reason to do any of it.
But they did it, Joe. And if they did it, there's better ways to do it. If they felt like they needed to tell this stuff, and maybe this is again what we're talking about, where these series shouldn't have to be 13 episodes, and to fill up that 13 episodes, they felt like they needed to fill this out a little bit. But I'm taking into account that people are fans of Karen. People wanted more Karen backstory. Somebody needed this. They needed to give it this to us. We needed to get this dick of a television thing slapped across our face. We wanted it somehow. This isn't how I wanted it. This was too much. We didn't need a Governor episode. We didn't need a Lost episode. We didn't need a full indulgent Karen episode.
And
we got it. That's all I'm saying, Joe. I don't agree. I don't disagree with you. But if we're gonna get it,
at least it wasn't early in the season, because it would have made for a shitty start of the season.
Right. It was at the end.
And as far as it's not too close to the end where it disrupts the peak, the
end game. It's usually in the place in this season, in these series, where they do this. They do that Kingpin flashback episode. They do someone's flashback episode. They just chose to do a Karen flashback episode this season and handle Matt's stuff a little bit more eloquently from a television standpoint. I guess I'm not disagreeing with you, Joe, and I know you don't care about it as much to be like, yeah, fuck you. But I just feel like if they're gonna do it right, and that's what I want to do. Last thing I want to say about all that. So then after all of that, which is again 2/3 of the fucking episode. So guess what? We have one more scene to talk about. That's it. One more fucking scene. At the church, Karen looks at the family photos of a few possessions that she's packed, carrying with her father. The father, Lantom, I think his name is, brings Karen to dinner and tells that Maggie expects to have a few options for Karen to choose from in order to hide from Fisk. But at the end of the day, Lantom tells Karen that she's not beyond redemption and invites her to a mass. Karen watches and listens as he sermons, and then Dex arrives in the Daredevil costume, looking at the door behind him. Karen shouts out and starts to beat on father to beat him up, but he stops her really quickly, and then the father steps in front right as he's about to kill her, and then Matt shows up and tackles him, and then we get into this really cool fight in the church with them going back and forth, and the father dying, whispering to Matt, "Forgive us for what we did to you," and then Karen
whispering, she like, "Oh yeah," he
whispers, "Oh yeah, he can hear me right now," and figures it out and starts whispering, "I need to get all the people out of here," distract him, and then they fight, but unlike the last fight, round 2 is easily to Dex. I mean, Matt gets on a lot more shots.
He's been having his ass kicked fucking every day for. Yeah,
you mentioned that earlier, and that's good that they kind of keep that up. They're not. They're showing the toll that all the fighting is taking on him, and Matt really gets his fucking ass kicked in this fight to a certain extent and knocked out. Gets back up again. Karen kind of is running away and realizing that she's the target and yells at him to come after her. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit of this. And they're up in the rafters, and Matt is there's a kind of a really cool thing with the rosary beads where he throws and they all shatter all these glass windows. And then we go to the ceiling where Karen gets thrown off. And Matt gets on top of him, starts beating him, but he hears something. What's he hear that distracts him? That's when he hears the priest.
The priest, yeah.
So he's beating the shit out of him, but Dex eventually gets the better of him, and he's about to stab him. And Karen comes up behind him and knocks him over the edge. And Matt says, "We can't let him leave." They get up and look, and he's gone. And that's the end of our episode. Joe,
priest died saving Karen's life.
Yep. Priest died saving Karen's life and begging Matt to forgive his mother. Yep. And is there anything else you want to say? Did you enjoy this fight?
The fight, yes. Everything else, no.
Everything else, no. This was your least favorite episode of the season. Easily your least favorite episode of the season. Let's pop out the chat and take a few chat questions, and I won't keep Joe too long because I know he isn't on time, or he's got a little while, but we'll get Joe as watching.
I really don't.
And watching Joe suck on a lollipop there. Netflix really wants us to think Karen would die, says Nicholas. Exactly, Nicholas. The wrong person died, Netflix. The wrong person died, says Broke. Nicholas says, so this episode confirms Karen used to be a woo girl. Woo! Mm-hmm. Nicholas says, I think Karen's fine. Not my favorite, but I don't hate her. That's kind of how I'm feeling at this point, too. I think that after killing Fish's brother, she should have told Foggy or Matt that she killed somebody before then in season 2 and show us the fucking flashback. So in season 3, show us some actual growth. So if we got that flashback in season 2, season 3 could show some Karen growth. How do you feel about that, Joe? You agree with Broke there?
Yep, because she's still making all the same stupid things that she's always done. Running in head first because I'm a reporter. What are they going to do to me? I'm going to go get Fisk to beat me up and blah, blah. Come on.
Yeah. You're no Lois Lane, Karen. You're no Lois Lane. You're no Maggie. You're no fucking Lois Lane. Lois Lane would be smarter than that.
She's not even. What's the girl's name on Jess Jones?
Oh, what's her name? Cray Cray girl, right?
Cray Cray girl. She's not even a Cray Cray girl.
Hey,
she's a woo woo girl.
I want you, Cray Cray. Hey. Okay, I think let's scroll back down a couple more comments and then we'll let Joe go. But there was no potential death to fake out. Matt was kind of nerfed the whole season after the events of the Defenders. Yeah, he has. And I think he's probably going to be nerfed till the last point of the season when he finally gets his Austin Powers mojo back.
He's going to go convalesce. They're going to convince him to finally convalesce.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wonder if are they going to get him his suit back so he can actually get into it being a fair fight, Joe?
Nope.
Never.
Not that shit on.
Not going to happen?
Nah, getting that.
Not getting that.
Would
not be prudent at this juncture. Now, Brooke says, I always thought she dies still in the season because Bullseye's supposed to kill Elektra, so Karen is the next option. Trish is her name. Yes, Trish is her name. Okay, so let's cut this out and before we go too far here and finish. Anything else you want to say about this episode, Joe? Worst episode of the season for you? Unnecessary. Karen has no growth. Do you feel like maybe she can get growth from this point on, or is the character dead to you, essentially? Television dead to you?
I don't have much faith in writers to give characters growth.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I've faith in the Daredevil writers and I have faith in some show writers, and usually they come from the Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul writers room. But I do think there are other great talented writers working out there. So
very few that have that actually give, especially supporting role characters, growth.
I think that's
one-dimensional.
I think that's where you're absolutely right. The fact that she is a supporting character in this universe, that they don't always get the attention that they deserve in fleshing out real universes or people that I really truly care about. Because I tend to agree more about Nicholas that I'm indifferent to her, and that's why I didn't like this episode.
Yep.
Still got some Halloween candy, Joe.
No, this is bank candy. This is, I got a kid in the car. Can I grab a couple of those?
Oh, I always have a kid in the car.
Them.
Whenever I'm in the store shaking my cans of SpaghettiOs because I still eat SpaghettiOs and I need the soupy cans, people give me that look. I go, oh, my little cousin likes SpaghettiOs and he only likes the soupy ones because I'm, and then I always steal the candy. I mention that I'm stealing candy. Okay, so we will be back on same bat time, same bat channel on Friday morning to do our final 2 one-off episodes or single short episodes, and then probably the next Monday, we will be back. Monday will probably be the best way because Joe works over the weekends, and then I have The Walking Dead on Sunday. So Monday we will be doing. Fuck you, asshole. Next week, we will be doing the final episode of Daredevil. So check it out. Get ready for 11 and 12 on Friday. I can do math. Joe, thank you so much for doing this, and hopefully get you out of here in time.
That was awesome.
We will be back very soon. I may be doing some Red Dead later on the Twitch channel if you want to check that out.
Yes,
also, I got the Joe Dirty Locks Kingpin shirt all up. That was the best thing that happened out of this episode. I was able to do that post. You can find the link in the chat right now, or it will show up below my videos in the advertising within the next 24 hours. So you'll see it there. And if people like that, we can get some other merchandising, like some leggings and shit for any of the designs. So it may say 4 days left to print, but don't buy that shit. If you don't get it in time and you're like, I want to get that, but I need it in a couple, I'll always renew stuff if possible. So don't let the 4 days fool you. But you can get your first Joe Dirty Locks t-shirt going on right there with a print of the Kingpin. The link is right there if you guys can see it. Oh, the link to the Twitch is Phil the Issues Guy. I don't have the link on me right now, but if you search Phil the Issues Guy, you'll find my channel and you'll see the Red Dead stuff. It's just, I think it's Twitch/Phil the Issues Guy. I've been doing the other Red Dead ones on that channel just because, or Good Ponce over to Dirty Issues as well. I just wanted to do the first one on the main channel. I think I might do that with the video games. Like when a new game comes out that I get, do the first stream on this main channel, and then subsequent, I tried to say, streams on either the Twitch channel or on Dirty Issues. So I will and check out Joe doing some N1Z1. Is that correct? Or J1D1?
H1Z1.
H1Z1 on Dirty Issues, and check out more of those streams. But yeah, Joe and I will be back on Friday for 2 more of these motherfuckers.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So talk to you guys soon, and I may talk to you guys later over on
I can't believe I gotta wait till fucking Friday.
I know, doesn't it suck? You have to leave this as your lasting impression for 2 more days.
I know, right? This episode. I don't even know if I want to watch the next one. Jesus.
Yeah, and I apologize for whatever it's worth for my streams through the PlayStation. I've noticed that for whatever it's worth, when everything's being posted on Twitch, I haven't figured out how. I'd have to talk to Taka. My voice is coming in slow motion. So I'm a little slow. I don't really just sound like this. I don't really sound like Kingpin when I game, or Lon Michael, or some stupid other voice that doesn't sound like anything. So I apologize for that. But the game looks fine and sounds fine. So who gives a shit what my voice sounds? I don't really talk too much. I'm kind of like Joe. I don't really talk too much when I play unless there's a lot of people asking questions and shit. So.
Right. I'm just too focused on the game to actually talk to them.
I suck too much at video games to do that, and I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So it's either that I'm talking or paying attention. I mean, sometimes I can get into a rhythm of it, but in a game like Red Dead that I'm not necessarily good at by nature, I'm not necessarily a top playing shooter in any type of form, as Joe can attest to. In any game that requires shooting and aiming, my uncoordination sucks. And I'm clumsy, as anyone who's watched me play Zelda can attest to. Legendary Milk says, "Oh, I hated this episode too. Oh, fucking too much." Karen says, "Legendary Milk," who's checking us out here at the end. And on that note, Joe, thanks so much, buddy. We'll talk to you guys on Friday.
All right, peace.
Joe, what did Joe think? What did Joe think? What did Joe think? Was it good, or did it really fucking stink?